Hello, Mahendra bhai, how are you?
Hi, doing well.
Oh,
Thank
Mahendra
you
bhai,
for
hello.
joining. Hi, Kimya, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me show and talk to people today.
Uh,
Hi, Kimya.
Hello.
Hi.
Mahendra bhai, nice to see you after so long.
I'm also, yeah.
I think we can start now. Achyut Palo sir will start with the uh, drawing of Ganesh ji.
Can I start?
Just a minute, let everybody can see him. I can't see him.
Hi, Tarun.
Hi.
Rishabh, I can't see Achyut Palo's video.
Uh, I am checking, sir. Uh,
Okay, he has to do a screen share or something.
Okay. So what will work is, Achyut sir, if you can put on some slight music on your mobile or some other device, then your image will come as the spotlight, and everybody will be able to, see that. Will that
probably,
work?
We can pin the
Pin,
column
pin his
or
video. Okay,
yeah.
pin his video.
Now we
uh,
can see. We can see.
Yeah, how to flip the image because I'm just a little bit confused here.
No, this is fine. I can see you very clearly.
Perfect.
All the
No,
other
but
members,
I want to show the demonstration. Ganpati Bappa.
yes, sir. I can see you very clearly. Yeah.
How to Sri?
Ah,
Okay.
How to flip the image?
Sir, go to the top right. There will be three dots, horizontal three dots. उस पर अगर आप क्लिक
Yeah.
करेंगे तो तीन चार ऑप्शंस आते हैं. उसमें सबसे ऊपर वाला होगा फ्लिप कैमरा. Wonderful.
all the members can see now.
yes.
Yeah.
All the members.
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we can see.
We can. Sri, but
Okay,
your
okay.
video is complete there.
Ah.
You're able to see, no? Everybody?
Perfect. It's perfect.
So Ganpati Bappa Moria.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. This very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Really good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Ganesh Suraya. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you.
So what is a very auspicious moment to start the program with. So now all of you can see me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I will just give an introduction to what is the plan. So I was feeling that many students across the country from a lot of other institutes, they don't get the exposure or a chance to meet and discuss with faculty members of other institutes. For example, a person like Mahendra Bhai or Tarun or myself or many other design professors, students don't have access and they can't show their work, take feedback or interact or discuss things. So there is a lot of gap between the student and the academicians and professionals also. So there are a lot of aspiring font designers, calligraphers and typographers. And many of them see this like a profession like Manoj or people like Karambi or all these people, they find it, sometimes they feel shy also to approach them, show their work, take feedbacks and things like that. Showing the work and taking a feedback itself is a learning experience. So there is no common platform for young students to meet and discuss with practicing professionals as well as design teachers. So I wanted to create a platform where all these three groups can meet and exchange ideas on a very informal, friendly way, without any official barriers and without any duplicates and hard copy letters with signature and stamp. So the idea was to create such a platform, and many times designers and design students want to seek advice, feedback, knowledge, and we need to facilitate sharing of knowledge on design. And we can all not only share ideas, we can also contribute to making people aware of what is calligraphy or what is typography or what is graphic design itself. So when Achyut Pallav sir was organizing CalliFest, it is a national level meet event. It was the first national level conference on calligraphy in India. So I had approached the government to give some lot of support to him for conducting this entire event. So everywhere I go, first question they ask me, what is calligraphy? Then 10 slides I showed his photo, I showed his video doing calligraphy, and I had to explain everywhere what is calligraphy, what is typography, what is graphic design. So recently one industrial designer who's a practicing industrial designer told somebody I'm an industrial designer. So people asked him, what kind of industries do you design? So this is a kind of awareness issue. So we can also contribute by small, all kind of cities. We can have a small meeting with the school students, and even if you conduct a 1 hour calligraphy workshop with students, school students, 9th standard, 8th standard, it will change the life of a lot of people. So these are some of the motivation factors behind starting this. We want to create a platform to encourage school students. We need to introduce them to calligraphy, hand lettering, and typography.
Hello. Hello.
Ah,
Ah.
hello. And
ഇല്ല ഞാനത് പറഞ്ഞു അത്
and later we need to grow into a formal society of typography enthusiasts. We are working towards that. Me and Tarun were having a lot of discussions on how to take this forward. So for the time being, we are planning to have 2 meetings every month. So alternate Saturdays we will have a 1 hour session. We will have a 20-minute talk by one of us, and later we will have 2 people doing that. And August 15th, we will have a formal inauguration of our this group of typography enthusiasts with a proper name and website and blog and all that. So we are working towards that. By 14th of August, all of you will come to know what is the name and what are the vision documents and who will inaugurate and all that. But the thing is that we want to help a lot for this young students who are taking up typography and calligraphy. This is one of the main things. I will invite Professor Tarundeep to take over from here and share his vision. Rishabh, Dr. Uday Kumar has joined or not?
Let me check, sir.
I had invited Dr. Uday Kumar, the Rupi symbol designer, to join us.
I think he hasn't joined yet.
Okay. Okay. Please, Tarun, welcome to the Typography Enthusiasts Club of India.
Thank you so much, Shri. You know, it's an honor. We've been talking about getting together with something like this for many years. You know, as teachers, we were often both Shri and me. We've been talking about that. You know, how we are sort of constrained by the boundaries of the institute in which we are employed. But thanks to the way social media has come along in our lives in the last 5 to 8 years, we found that a lot of other students who are in other colleges all over the country, sometimes even outside the country, they are approaching us with varying degrees of openness. Some of them are still shy, But I'm so happy that today, 27th June, we're all meeting together and having this kind of a conversation. And thank you to each one of you guys who's taken out time to join us. Shri has already covered everything. I just wanted to share that we are all engaged in whatever we are doing because of our love for letters. Whether it is calligraphy, whether it is hand lettering, whether it is typography or the printed word, that love of letters is what is bringing us together, right? And I'm also aware that some of us are doing it not as their primary vocation. They're working somewhere else, but they're taking out time on the weekends to, passionately follow this thing. So I'm very excited about how we can take it further. And as Mahendra Bhai also rightly pointed, we are focusing on learners. They may be of any age, they may be of any level, But one of our core this thing is that how do we introduce lettering, calligraphy, typography at a much younger age, So as of now, we just have few ideas, but as we move along, we will, take everybody's ideas. के अपने शहरों में अपने ग्रुप्स के साथ how can we engage online तो बहुत आसान हो गया है अब, because of Google Meets and Zoom and all those kind of things. We can also go live on Facebook and YouTube and all those things. For offline, how do we start supporting each other to spread the love of letters, So, and also a big shout out to Rishabh. I know Rishabh has been quietly doing a lot of work behind the scenes, Google Forms. Thank you so much, Rishabh. And thank you so much, Kimya, for, agreeing and taking out time to share some really amazing work which she has done recently. I'll keep quiet about it. Let it get revealed by Kimya herself. So welcome everybody. Welcome everybody once
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you, Shri.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tarun. So we will start with one of our illustrious alumni. Uday Kumar is about to join us. Kimya, you can start.
Okay. Okay. I'll share my screen. Okay. I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I just want to give a disclaimer since I gave a talk on design somewhere, another kind of platform. I just hope there's no people who are attending both things, then it might be a little repeat. But I'm really glad that this initiative is being started, and thank you, Tarun and Shrikumar sir, for having started this. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So should I start?
Please start. Yeah.
Okay. I thought basically Shrikumar sir asked me to like if I would share some of my work with everyone here, and the way this talk is kind of made is just to explain a little bit about the background of the type design industry and my work. So that's going to be the gist of what I'll speak about today. So hello everyone. My name is Kimya Gandhi. I'm a typeface designer, font designer, and a lot of times when I say that, people are like, really? Okay. So I thought like I will speak to you all about what my work entails and what drives me, what is my inspiration behind the work that I do. To give you a little background, I work. Hello. I think somebody's mic is on
I'm
still.
uh,
Mahendra sir is saying something.
oh, would it be my system? Probably. I'll
Okay.
address that to see her present.
I guess there's mic is on. Well, anyway, I'll continue. So I work. I'm a partner at the Type Foundry Mota Italic, which me and my husband and partner we work together. So mostly we design Devanagari and Latin custom and retail typefaces. So I design the Devanagari and Rob designs Latin part of the typefaces, and together we collaborate on a lot of projects. I live and work in Mumbai, and Mumbai is a city of a lot of contrasts to me. Like, for example, I want to show you this image that I clicked before we were allowed to go out on the streets. This is from the metro constructions. And it's very interesting to me that, this like high tech, new technology metro is coming up. And then, but if you see the signages for it, they are all like hand on, like, painted on metal sheets around. So it's kind of this like contrast, which I think exists in a lot of different spheres in the city. Also extrapolated that to the entire country. I think in India we live in a number of centuries together. There's so much like continuity of thought, philosophy, and ways of life. To give you an example, I found this like app a couple months back. This is basically like a Jap Mala app, and I thought like it's quite, that totally speaks about this continuity of ways of life that we see in India. Like this practice has been done from like hundreds of years, but now there's like an app to do it. So I think that just shows like like the medium perhaps changes, but there are still certain things that like kind of are continued. Another thing that we all know about India is that all of us are multilingual and we can read or write more than one script, definitely. So these are some of the languages that I can read and write and understand based on their size, you can see. Um, to give an overview about India, like there's 13 scripts, there's 23 languages and like around 780 living languages, which means that they have active people who speak those languages. There is such a rich history of visual culture in the country, which is always an inspiration for me. So right from like manuscripts in different languages from olden times to like even the letterpress, these are some letterpress specimen books, to the amazing hand painted letters that and lettering visual culture that we see in every city. This is from Ahmedabad. This is from Chennai. So it's just like I think walking around in like the streets of our country is like an education in itself when it comes to looking at letter forms. So an example of like not like multilingual communication, which also is quite important and used in a lot of places. And then coming to digital fonts, which is what I work with. So there's a lot of type foundries around the world that create fonts, and they basically sell and license them from their website. So this is just a quick state of type today that I see around me is, you may have seen in a lot of malls and areas where you see these signs of branding, where you see, just because it's a law, at least in Maharashtra, that you have to have the vernacular sign alongside the Latin branding. You see that just because it's a rule, people just like take some font and just like type it, and it's just usually like in one corner somewhere, which always makes me think why this is, and to understand the socio-economic like reasons behind why this is done. Um, and these come in like a lot of different ways. Like this one just is not even transliterated right. So it just makes me think about the sensitivity towards typography in day-to-day aspects. Uh, a lot of other reasons are because of cost of material. Like even though these hand-painted signs look beautiful and are like used to be way more popular before, we see more and more that desktop publishing has taken over, which is also one of the reasons being the cost of material. And so, where you would require hours having to paint one store facade, now you can print like a flex banner for like 12 rupees a square foot or something, and it's easier and cheaper. And so, which is why those hand painted signs get like exchanged with these kind of uh, flex banners, and they've become so cheap that you find them being used for absolutely anything. This was quite funny that I found this particular poster at like a Ganpati festival last year. They're just like one person is wishing another one happy birthday. So I just thought like it's so cheap now that you can just blow up and make flex banners of absolutely anything. Another issue is the Latinization of Indian scripts. So if you see compare the Devanagari and Latin, there's nothing. They are completely different in their own nature of the script itself. Like the Devanagari hangs from the top line, but the Latin sits on a base line, and the angle of translation, the pen angle, when calligraphic angle is completely reversed. So all these things are nuanced characteristics of the script, so you can't force one on top of the other, so which we see done in a lot of cases. Like if you see, like there is, they see one branding and then like kind of try to copy paste its characteristics onto the other, and there's like quite like bad examples of this. If you roam around, you'll see like there's no capitals in Devanagari, but they've just tried to mimic that effect by making this. But even in more modern examples, where this is an example of Kolaba Social, which is a more recent contemporary case of branding, but even then you see that the Devanagari has not been like, it's supposed to be a stencil, but the Devanagari is just Adobe Devanagari, which is a system font, and that's not even a stencil. So it's just for me to like think about these issues and be aware of it. Another is cultural appropriation, and this was sent to me by a cousin who was traveling in the US, and this was some Asia section in uh, at the Disney Animal Kingdom, and you can see that they've just made a hodgepodge of whatever they think are Southeast Asian scripts and tried to write Asia with it. First, I thought it said India, so it's not even like legible. So that's a issue of like how we want our scripts to be represented. Another more practical reason why these things happen is because the rendering of Indian scripts may appear more complex than that of Latin, which also leads to examples like this. I feel so bad about this guy who got this tattooed on his body. So this is because, like the rendering isn't working out, and the person who was typesetting obviously did not know if this was looking fine or not. This is from a plane, and you can see the U ki matra is just like flying somewhere in the air where it should be positioned on the correctly. And this may seem like a very small issue and trivial to a lot of people, like, but a lot of times I hear, but you know what it is. But this is just me thinking aloud about the sensitivity that we need to have in order to have our scripts being represented more correctly. Mm, Open source licenses, like for students and a lot of graphic design agencies, I know is a boon now because of Google Fonts. You have a wide variety of Devanagari fonts that are available open source, basically free. So, but then this makes me think about if, and you see a large number of, if you see the numbers, the statistics of the kind of these fonts being downloaded, you can see that they are in like millions. But that makes me think about, are these numbers reflecting qualitative design decisions, or is it just convenience that it's free so you can just use them wherever? And which kind of shows in this example where the same font Balu, which seems to be a very playful and casual typeface, is being used by this news channel for like crime series. So it's just, again, for us to think about what is happening. Another thing in India is the hierarchy of problems, and we are just a different demographic. And if you're one of these people standing on the platform, you definitely don't care about the state of the bitmap font on the.
Kimya, you are on mute. Kimya, I think you are on mute.
Okay, is it
Yeah,
is
no,
it
it's fine.
audible now?
Please go ahead.
Sorry. Since when have I been on mute?
I think it just happened.
Oh, okay.
So just
All
10
right.
seconds
2
ago.
seconds back.
Okay. Sorry. Well, this was just kind of an overview of certain things that may seem very negative, but that's not just the case. I think in the past decade or so, the technological advancements, and there has been more and more standardization that has opened up great new possibilities for designing typefaces in Indian scripts. And I think it's truly an exciting time to be a typeface designer currently. For example, with respect to font software and support, you have newer software that make it way easier and have interfaces that allow for the designing of Indian scripts in a much more uh, efficient, easy way. This is an example. I'm just showing this because this was a tutorial from Glyphs, which is the software that I use for creating fonts. And this was a tutorial that we wrote about creating Devanagari fonts. So if there are students in the audience, they can go check this out later. And there are a lot many more type foundries. For example, for when I started designing typefaces, which was in 2010, there was only Indian Type Foundry, which was just about starting. And now when I look at the number of younger, more contemporary foundries, there has been a big increase in that number as well. So there's new typefaces for newer typography. Especially in this current time, I feel it's more relevant in this lockdown that we're sitting in. Most of our communication is through devices, and we are getting our information from phones and iPads. So the need for better typography is like even more important right now. So we see a lot of multi-script typefaces. This is Ek Type Balu, the type family, who have created many multi-script typefaces with an effort of having coherent designs across all scripts. There is typefaces that are inspired from popular culture, and um, basically I will just then just show what all of this background makes me work with, and these are some of my experiments with type. Um, I'll just quickly show you some of my projects. So this is Sharad 76. This is a handwritten typeface that was commissioned to me by this advertising agency in Pune. And what the story behind it is quite heartfelt and nice, because this Sharad Deshpande was a very prolific copywriter, and he is also the founder of this ad agency. And at a point in his life, he had a paralytic stroke and lost the ability to write. And his sons decided to gift him a font of his handwriting so that he could still type. And since he was a copywriter, he was very attached to his handwriting. So this was kind of a really nice way of him still being connected with his handwriting, but yet could type on a computer. So I thought the brief was so wonderful, and their intent was so nice. So this is a scan of his handwriting, and the process of doing this was that basically I had to look through a lot of his scans, and we tried to mark certain letters that were very characteristic of his style of writing, and then digitize it. The interesting thing about this typeface is that it is one of the first ones, I think, with these alternates for each letter. This has been done in a lot of Latin handwritten fonts. So there's four of each consonant. So you can see there's four versions of each, because in true handwriting, you never have the same letter repeating itself. So with the help of like some open type features, I was able to code it in a way that when you type, if you type two curves next to each other, those two randomly change. And so you get the texture of handwriting as close as possible to his handwriting. So this is a comparison of the font with his can. While drawing that, I was inspired to do a lot more things with handwritten typefaces. And because I was restricted by his handwriting while working on that project, I decided to draw Maku, which is a stylized interpretation of my own handwriting. And the process was kind of similar. I was drawing again all different characters, vowels, different conjuncts. Then I decided to maybe draw these swash characters, which are nothing, again, new for letter forms in Indian scripts that we've seen. For Devanagari, you always see these like boards, and in calligraphy, you also have these swashes, but they weren't really explored so much in type, in fonts. So, which is why I decided to add this swash feature, and also a lot of Indian inspired icons, because I think like even with these emojis, you have a lot of them that you send around, but there's not so many Indian relevant icons. So basically, I based a lot of them on Indian festivals with an intent that you would probably be able to send those around. This is just comparing Devanagari and Latin proportions. So I drew the Devanagari first, and then the Latin was based on that. This is just showing a tracing window in glyphs. And then there is, of course, a lot of other processes that you need to do while designing fonts, which is mark positioning. So which basically means that you ensure that the marks above and below the baseline are anchored to the right point. And then you also, along with this, you also, when designing Indian language fonts, you need to make certain features that make sure that your conjuncts and your script is rendered correctly. So this is, and this all is possible in glyphs, which is what I said, like it is slightly easier to design fonts in Devanagari now as compared to 15 years ago. So this is just a window showing these backend features. I won't go into detail about this. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them after. So Maku is eventually now has Latin, Greek, Cyrillic, and Devanagari. And I was very excited when last year I was approached by Apple to license Maku for their new OS system, Catalina. So now Maku is available on the Mac OS Catalina, and you can go to the font book and download it. And it was quite an exciting thing for me. And that's how the font looks like. And this also again has 4 to 5 alternates of letters. And there are these swash forms. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, and there's these icons. And then I designed a calendar based with using these icons in typeface sometime last year. Another of my kind of recent typefaces is Chicky. Chicky is basically a display typeface, which is, and the main feature of it is that it doesn't have any curved strokes. It is all made from straight lines, but it's designed in a way that in small sizes and in lighter weights, you can't really tell that it doesn't have the curves. So it has like a really black, bold weight and a really light one too. And this is also, I think, the first variable font that was commercially released. Variable fonts is also the latest font format. Again, I won't go into detail about what variable fonts are. If you have any questions, I can answer them later. Basically, it's like a scale that you can drag your weight and widths on, and you can, so basically you can select your own bold instead of me saying, giving you four different specific weights. It has one font file which has all the information that you need about the font. Another, while I was working on Chiki, I got quite, actually when designing like fonts, it gets a little tricky sometimes to just work in black and white. So color fonts is also another new font formats and technology that is coming up, which is not supported on all platforms. So it's still in its early stages. But I decided to draw this like 3D bevel style for Chiki. I got really excited and I started making all the base characters. And then I realized it was 6 layers in each character, and there's around 1700 glyphs in it. So there was like 10,000 something layers that I had to draw. So then I stopped because I was like, I'll come back to it later. But this is something that I just, when I'm having on an off day or something, I do kind of still work on these. Some upcoming work that I would like to share is I will be releasing a Gurumukhi version of Chiki. So I've always been interested in learning new scripts being from India. So I recently started learning Gurumukhi. Shout out to Taran because his Instagram feed really inspired me to look up, to really take up the pen again and try and learn Gurumukhi like the way he was showing in his work. So I did that, and this is how Chiki Gurmukhi looks like, and it'll be releasing soon. Also, a part of this project, I decided to add, I also feel that it's not just about the letters. I think the font can, since it represents a script, I think it can have other elements also that make it a more holistic product. So I tried to incorporate these Fulkari inspired patterns. So you can make different Fulkari patterns since it's a Gurmukhi typeface. My latest project has been this Lini Devanagari. It is a super condensed Devanagari typeface. I was basically trying to see how condensed it can go and still be legible. This is also available as a beta font on our website now, so you can go check that out. I'll maybe leave some links. Also, I'm drawing some really condensed icons along with that. And this is also a variable font, and I'm trying to explore different weights. And this will also have an italic access to it. And this is my latest release, which is the Pula 100 font. This was a really special project for me because I have grown up reading Pula Deshpande's books. If anybody is from Maharashtra, I'm sure you've heard of his name and you've probably seen his work. And so I was approached to design a font based on his handwriting. And the process was fairly similar, where I reviewed his scans of his handwriting and then eventually traced them and converted them into a font. So that's the final output. I think there are so many nuanced things about his handwriting. There's no Shiro Rekha, but that's just because he was like, he was probably like writing it so fast that he didn't even like stop to make lines on top of his letters. Also, there are really peculiar things that he does with certain matras and things which I thought were like the essence of him and his personality. So they are a part of the font as well, and they are coded into these combinations. And I was really surprised to see that the design of a font made it to like breaking news. I think Rob was quite amused by seeing that. And in conclusion, I would just like to say that my practice as a type designer, I'm very aware of understanding what my role as a designer is. In some of my early education and meetings with my professor, Kirti Trivedi, I was very made aware of the relevance and sensitivity to Asian design. And that's something that I carry even now. Share resources with newer generation of designers, and also to nurture this diversity and be more inclusive as possible. An important part of my practice, this is Professor Kirti Trivedi, is the importance of design education. And I feel like there's something that he said to me that still resonates with me, which is when you see with open eyes, you just see what is in front of you. But when you close your eyes, you can see anything you want. while I'm not, sometimes when I'm not designing typefaces, I also go teach type design and typography, and a big main part of that has been to incorporate Indian scripts and their just to involve students in like really work with these as well. So this can be in different forms, and as a process and byproduct of this, I've also kind of worked on designing certain material, because a lot of online resources for type design are very Latin centric and not so much for Indian type design. So that's also an opportunity for designers to create more content. Um, I think this is not really meet people and collaborate. I think uh, this thing that we are doing right now is also a part of this, that you when you meet people, and type design cannot just happen in isolation. When you speak to linguists, when you speak to all other people who use your typeface, I think that's when it makes the whole experience quite richer. I miss meeting people in this lockdown, but I'm thankful that I have gotten this opportunity to talk to all of you, even via the computer. I enjoy collecting and archiving material, which also I believe will be very important in the future of type forms and letter forms. And lastly, I believe in like using our voice. I think like especially in this lockdown, I again think that I've realized that we are not like essential workers. We don't like save lives or anything, but I think our work will impact the visual landscape of the future, and that is a big responsibility, and I do take that seriously. And thank you. That's what I had to say. Thank you for
Thank you
listening.
very much. Thank you very much, Kimya. It was wonderful listening to you doing the work.
Thank
It was
you.
really thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kimya. Very great job.
Thank you.
Kimya, I appreciate your efforts doing that color font. So much effort, and after putting all the effort, you realize that it's not worth it, and you still have some remarkable good work. I really, really appreciate Kimya. I'm looking forward to meet you someday in my college to guide my students. All the best.
Definitely. Thank you.
I particularly loved the dingbats that you tried, which goes with the font. That's a very good idea.
Hmm.
There is a lot of fun in the font that you have done, because I see mostly type designers tend to become very rigid in their approach and process. You have brought in a lot of fun into the work. Very, very nice, very fresh to see that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Kimya.
Hello. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you? Yeah,
Good,
Kimya,
good.
like, I have a few things to ask you
Mhm.
to share the things, like, so what is the difference between this multiple master font and variable font which you have developed?
Yes. So
Can you
multiple
elaborate further? Okay.
sure.
About it.
Multiple master font is that is just the way your file is set up. So you have like masters are basically like the ends of the axis. So my light and my extra bold are the two master files, like the main files, and which you also need for create. And variable font is like a font format. So you have like a .otf or .tf. Variable is
Yeah.
just like a font format. So for that also you need the masters. That like they are not related to each other. It's so you
So,
can create a variable font from a multiple master font file, basically.
yeah. One more thing
Uh,
is, like, yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
I have a small question. This is when you work with the slider to change the weight of the type.
Mm-hmm.
So it will also change the proportion.
Uh, it depends on your file. So the slider is basically right now not many software support variable font as well. This is kind of like if you're uh, using a variable font on online, maybe then you can put your CSS value and decide what weight you want. So I think the
Yeah.
proportions, like in the case of what I showed, I had the axis which was only a weight axis, so it went from like light to bold. But if you look up variable fonts online, you will see that there's people go from like sans serif to serif. Like that could also be an axis. So then you have
No, but
different.
the weight change proportions will alter. No, like for example, in InDesign or whatever, you
Hmm.
just change the the width of the type,
Hmm?
making
Hmm?
condensed or expanded, basically
Hmm?
changes proportion and makes the type look very ugly.
No, no, but this
Again,
is designed. This is
hello.
designed to be that width. So it's not like you
Okay.
are forcibly trying to stretch it. It is
Yeah.
like as a type designer, I will draw that expanded weight. So when you're
Yeah.
scaling it and using the slider, you're still working in the
Proportion that.
parameters that the designer intended to. So it's not forcibly
Yeah, that's
scaling
true.
anything. Yeah.
So, Kimya, what are the complexities when you design a variable font? Can you just elaborate it to the other people?
Actually, there's no complexities while designing a variable font as such. If you design something that is interpolatable, that means like if you have a multiple master file and if the number of nodes basically in the lightweight have to be equal to the number of nodes in the black weight. And once
No,
that is done, then there's no other things that you have to do to create a variable font.
no. So the kind of point plotting on the font itself.
Yes.
That is, yeah, that's what I was asking.
But that is not any different from when you create an interpolatable OTF font file as well. Yeah.
Kimya, I had a question. Of
Yes.
course, I mean, this is not the first time we are meeting, and we've had a lot of discussions on, but amazing presentation, very
Thank you.
crisp, very to the point. Thank you so much for that. But
Thank
for the
you.
benefit of the larger audience, I just wanted to, get an insight into when you have an idea, कि ऐसा कुछ एक font हम बना सकते हैं. So how much time do you spend with drawing and sketching those things out on paper with a pencil or pen or marker? Do you do grid sheets or do you straight away jump onto digital drawings? Tell us something more about that process.
Okay. Sure. I know there's a lot of seniors that I have learned from in this audience. So I won't say like I'm old school, but I still like to draw on paper before drawing on computers. That's just my preferred way. So, and it depends on the time. Depends on project to project. So the Lini font that I just showed, that I started when the lockdown started. So,
Okay.
and that's almost completed. So that took
Hmm.
3 months to complete. But so I think it depends also on how many projects I'm doing at the same time. But my
Okay.
preferred way of working is I will sketch out a few letters that I think have the potential of becoming a typeface. And then I trace those onto glyphs, and then I start populating the character set, and then the finer changes I do on the software. Then I don't go back to paper. But sometimes it happens that if I want to see, how the proportions of one particular letter work, like for example, in Gurumukhi, that happened a lot because that is not something that I was native to. Then I was always going back to the calligraphic form and seeing where the thin is, because that's not something that comes very naturally to me. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so we will
Sir, I
wind
have
up and the next session will be on July 11th. We are planning to have 2 sessions like this a month. So all alternate Saturdays we will have 5 to 6.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We will open it for more discussions. We have 9 more minutes to go. And I want to thank everybody. So we have 56 people. So I don't know whether we have enough time to introduce everyone.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said at the end.
I don't know whether we have time to introduce everyone. I think all of us, if you can use just 1 minute to introduce yourself to all the members, one by one.
1 minute is a lot of time. For so many people.
I think then we will wind it up. The next one will be on the 11th of July.
Yeah.
Everyone is
Sir, I have
okay
a
with Saturday?
So sorry to interject. Can I take a question here? Sorry,
Yeah.
can I ask
you?
Yeah. Sri, suggestion, maybe in your Google form or somewhere you can have an introduction, so everybody will get to know offline.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Slowly we will also start building up a little profile of all of us.
Correct.
And I'm sure we can, upload it either on our WhatsApp group or on our Google Form. It would be easier to compile and capture it. Thank you so much, sir. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, because if 30 people come on the thing, if you take 1 minute, half an hour is gone.
Now we have 56 people, 56. It is a very good number for the first meeting.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I think somebody had a question.
Yeah, Vijay, please ask. Yeah.
Wonderful session, Kimya. I'll
Thank
come to the
you.
point quickly. I work with Reliance Jio, and I've been proposing a type lab within Jio because I think it was my dream when I was under Professor Shri Kumar in 2006 to start an individual corporate lab. I'm nowhere near that dream, but just wanted to ask that if one has to develop 13 scripts with a variable font for 13 different scripts, particularly for a corporate group, how long does it take? And do you have a scalable team who can jump in and jump out to do more contributions? That was my question.
Yeah, I think so for all the 13 scripts, of course, one person is not equipped to design all of the scripts. I've not met any one person yet who can design all of the Indian scripts. So usually that process involves collaborative work with a lot of different designers. So again, this can happen, all the designers can. So time frame wise, that can differ. If there are 10 people working on 10 different scripts, then that project can go on simultaneously. So it depends on really the team that is working on this kind of a project.
So any still clue how long it takes? Suppose you have 10 people and you have 13 scripts and you have to close a corporate case. How long generally it will take? Where time and money is not a challenge. Yeah.
Okay, I think for also again for a text typeface, I definitely assume anywhere from 4 to 6 months would be a good estimate.
For one script.
Yeah, for one script. But again, like I said, if there are 4 people working on projects together, so you could have 4 scripts being done in 6 months as well. So it depends on the framework of the team.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you so much, Kimya.
So Vijay, can I just add, Kimya, can I just add to Vijay's question? I'm quite glad that you are looking at a time frame of 4 to 6 months. But Vijay, to be safe, I'll take it to a year, because when we design multi-script typeface, it's not like that I have done Latin and Devanagari and it's done, and then I work on Tamil, Kannada, Gurumukhi and all those.
Yeah.
What happens is that as you start working on script number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you also start to go back and revise some of your decisions of script 1 and 2, because eventually all 13 of them have to be the same family. It's not like distant cousins, right? You have to visually look at as a sibling. So in case you're putting up a proposal, safely pitch at 12 months.
Vijay, I agree completely with what Tarun sir is saying. That when you look at all Indian languages put together, 1 year will be an understatement. I'll put it as 1.5 years.
Yeah,
because
agreed, sir.
there are a lot of intricate problems of one font, which when you solve it, it will be cascading effect. Then you have to go back and do in some other language.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful that whatever you have in mind, ask for the double amount.
Okay,
like
sir.
Charge for the client. Whatever comes to your mind, ask for the double.
Yeah. Sure, sir. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
And Muthu sir is here. He is a lot of experience in handling fonts. A lot of fonts you see in the Apple platform are designed by him. So later, Vijay can take advice from him also. He's in our group. He's also attending this meeting.
Thanks, Sri. Thanks for the intro.
Muthu sir, vanakkam.
Vanakkam. Thanks for the intro.
So all the fonts you see in the Apple OS are, most of them, 90% are done by him.
I think those are also getting replaced. New designs are coming, new people are coming.
Yeah, but you are the best person to answer this question.
Yeah, I did all the 13 scripts,
Yeah.
but it took me 2 years to do it. And that
Yeah.
was because it was like more than a decade ago, there was not enough resources to help.
Mm.
OpenType was still version 1. They didn't have the V2 scripts supported at the time. And in fact, when I did the fonts, there was not even OpenType supported on Apple. So I had to do that in
Exactly. Yeah.
technology. So that took me about maybe I would even say 2.5 years. But we are revising all that fonts now. We are adding both type and AAT, making them multiple masters, making them variable fonts and all that stuff. A lot of fun things happening. I'll be happy to share some of the things later on. By the way, since I'm on the mic, I want to say, Kimya, that was a fantastic presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks, Muthu. Nice to hear from you.
So, Sri Kumar sir.
Yes, sir.
Two things we'll immediately get going with. This is a brief sort of a bio of the entire group of people. I'm sure we'll go that Google this thing and coming in, and we'll also share the recording of this on our WhatsApp group for people who would want to revisit it. And if people have more questions for Kimya, our WhatsApp group is live and kicking. We're most welcome to have all kinds of questions coming in. And as Shri sir has already said, next Saturday chhod ke uske baad wala Saturday, right? So we say hop skip, no? That's coming to July 11th, right, Shri?
Yeah, July 11th.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I would like to. A lot of people are asking this that today's presentation will we share the recording. That is subject to permission from Gandhi. If Gandhiji agrees, then we will share it.
Yes,
is that
No, I spoke about sharing resources in my presentation, so now I can't use.
The candle doesn't lose anything by lighting other candles.
Yeah, no, definitely you can share it with anyone.
Yeah, we have to hope that the group will be responsible.
What?
No, you have to hope that the group people will be responsible. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there are no trade secrets in this, so it's fine. It's only talking about typefaces, so that's okay. Well, thank you, sir, for.
Yeah. Sorry, Kimya, continue what you're saying.
No, I just said thank you for organizing this. This is a really great opportunity for me to also see all these people. I've heard so many names, familiar names. It's really great.
Thank you, all of you, for joining, and we should make this into a real good movement, because I have met so many students who don't have access to knowledge. So, if the design educators and design professionals can meet and help such students, it will be a wonderful thing, because it is our responsibility to help the next generation. You know how much we struggled when we wanted to learn things.
Mahendra bhai would like to share something.
Yeah, I was about to ask you this.
Is Mahendra bhai here? I can see.
Yes, Mahendra bhai, would you please unmute your mic? Mahendra bhai, you are on mute. Mahendra bhai, you have muted your mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can hear.
Well, there is typography and there is calligraphy. Yeah. What Karam is attempting is getting calligraphic people together, which is art of expression, art of writing. What we are doing is science of writing. So I think I would rather focus on, no doubt, the basic calligraphy or handwriting, but we should focus more on typography, creating system of life, or with technology, the font engineering, language engineering, and we should focus more on typographic aspects rather than calligraphic aspects. No doubt, one requires calligraphic background and artistic capabilities, but typography is different than calligraphy. So I may have a bias that we look forward to English typography rather than Latin. So this group can focus on only Indian scripts and typography. That's what personally I would be a great thing, because we have typography day, we have Karamdik group. So our group, or this group, should focus. Another thing is, this can be a great platform for students and teachers to share their experiences of creating learning modules. Even for a professional, for example, font engineering, when very few people are comfortable. So we can really have some sort of data sharing or experience sharing, how to go about it, or who can. It's a collaborative work together for the.
Sure.
Sir, we thought about this for a long time.
I made a sense or not, yeah?
I thought about this for a long time.
But the presentation was, as I wrote, really inspiring, very, very awakening. We know that calligraphy is not pulverized. It is much beyond users and opportunities and challenges type designer can take. There's no limit to it. That's what I learned from Kimya's presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mahendra, for your suggestions.
Thank you, sir. We thought about this for a long time. So,
yeah,
the philosophy behind combining all this, calligraphy or hand lettering or typography and font design and all kind of design into one group, is that we need to have interaction across the specializations. So this is when you look at the root of this whole thing, the seed, the beach, is that it is a letter form, the alphabet, a mark which represents a letter form. Whether it is calligraphy or hand lettering or hand drawn or handwriting or font, whatever. So we want all these people to meet each other, and even a person who is only an observer of this can also come in, and the students and the teachers and design professionals, they need the calligrapher also, font designer also, or we have one person who is the art director of the Hindustan Times, a part of our group, and he was attending our talk. So like this, if all of us are there in one group, there will be much more synergy and mix. And when a student uploads something in the WhatsApp group, the feedback from a calligrapher and the typographer and the communication design specialist will be very different. I think that is the difference we are looking at. So the philosophy is that God exists in different forms. So as a calligrapher also, typographer also, font designer also, teacher also, everything. So that is why I wanted a common platform for all this. All the group members need not be any of this. It can be a different person also. So that is the thought behind integrating all these people into one.
It's a great chapter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahendra.
Very good beginning. Excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for attending this. I want to thank Tarun sir. I want to thank Achyut Pala, Mahendra Bhai. I want to thank everybody who attended this, and Rishabh for the coordination. Rishabh Pandey is the alumnus of IDC. He was my TA. He is the rarest of the rare TAs who did all the work very properly and without any backlogs. So it was a pleasure working with him. He was my teaching assistant. He does everything perfectly without any delay. And Kimya knows very well that how Kimya works in IDC. So till we meet on July 11th, I wish you all the best and thank you everyone for coming. Please say hi. Uday, you want to add something, Dr. Uday Kumar? Are you there with us?
Yes, sir, I'm fine. So I really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, Kimya. So
Thank you, Uday.
Uday, can you switch on your video so all of us can see you?
sure.
Uday Kumar is the head of Department of Design.
Yeah, so you can see me now.
Yeah, hi Uday.
Hi,
Uday Kumar is the designer of the Indian rupee symbol.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
He's the only celebrity designer people go to him for autographs.
He's got a lot of also, right?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Uday.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Have a
Thank
nice
you very much.
weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thanks,
Thank you.
Kimya.
Bye.
Thank you, Kimya.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Rishabh. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Welcome, sir.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikumar, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.